Public roadway. We still don't know whether it's private or public, because some of what I'm struggling with is when something's reported about me, it seems to get investigated and within hours, and y'all are making determinations that it's a crime even when you aren't going to prosecute and it really isn't a crime. Or like if I get pulled over, y'all make a determination whether it's speeding and you're going to give me a ticket, whether it's reckless driving or whatever. When you all got caught, and by you all I say Mr. Meyer, the corporal that was up there today, both got caught, written up because they illegally went over the double yellow, illegally ran through a stop light, and they didn't get ticketed. And that determination took a lot longer. So it seems like when it's a citizen or someone like me, it doesn't take that long. But when it's a police officer or a government buddy, because I think y'all are buddies. Yeah, I do.
What's that?
Can you tell me why this one's taking so long to investigate? Because we're on two.
I don't know what what part do you want me to investigate?
Well, part of it is that I thought you'd already told me that day, 2 days ago, that you were going to look into the apartment thing. And here we are 2 days later. It sounds like you're not only we're going to look into it, but like you forgot to look into it. And had I not brought it up, it wouldn't have gotten looked into. And
because the thing that I was told was that you were looking at wanting the bus driver cited for reckless operation of motor vehicle.
One of the bus drivers, and what seems to have happened there is you're thinking it's the front bus that was a yellow bus, and it was the back bus that went around the front bus. My understanding is whether those lights are on or that stop sign's out or not, it's the drivers behind them responsibility to notice the kids are being loaded. Because the kids were being loaded, nobody, even if it's a 2-lane road, even if they could go around that legally and not have to go over the double yellow lines, they still couldn't pass because they're loading kids. And even if the stop sign isn't out, even if the flashing lights aren't going, they still have to stop because they're loading kids. And the fact that it has a lift on it makes it a more serious criminal offense. And some of these things, whether that's private up there or public, which sounds like we still don't know today, was another thing I thought you'd investigated and have a determination on by now. And, you know, last time I had Jeff look into something with the prosecutor, it took months. Where the last time he was looking into me on that same thing to try and get me out, try and say something's a crime, took hours. And you're trespassing. No, I'm just kidding. How you doing?
Good.
Good. I just want to point out that day, I thought your demeanor was right on. It's just some other things, and I did file a complaint, but to me, I think you're a good officer and all that, good corporal. I apologize. And it's my hope that I'm right and that there'll be a little bit of correction, just be like a 10-second, hey, going forward, you put your lights on from the get-go or something. But I just wanted to give you feedback that overall, I thought you both did a pretty good job, just those little bit of things in between. So I'm hoping they don't even put anything in your file. But that's just my hope. I wanted to get back to that though, because one of the shortcomings, and it might be my fault as well, is I thought you were going to send me a link by close.
I did.
I just didn't get it.
So the day that I sent it, I didn't have the A after your name.
Oh, okay.
So I just did it earlier today.
I just looked and I still don't see it.
RICHAGAJUS@gmail.
Yes, sir. .com.
I'll double check, but I'll let you know what time I sent it. When I first sent it.
If I get your confirmation, then I'll double check on my side. You never know.
Yep.
I just got one from Rich though, and it did come to my main inbox. And then maybe a little bit of delay there too, you never know. I'll go back over on this other side, or I'll be right here. I just didn't want to be looking at or accidentally record any private information. That's my private information that I forget to edit out. And it's good because we got the big delivery truck coming through right here. Anybody else noticing a lot more delivery trucks up and down their streets these days? Amazon's here, I'd say. I wouldn't doubt every day. Not here at my house, but here in this neighborhood. And now you can get groceries on Amazon. Feed the beast. So I'm hoping I'll make it through this. I got like I think I got 30 minutes recording time. Should be plenty. So I think at the end of this, ultimately, this will give me the ability to, I may be the bottleneck, or this may be the bottleneck in the investigation right now. I may need to...
12:03 today, I sent it to your email, and on the day that it happened, I sent it at 4:08, but I didn't have the A after your first name.
Fair enough,
So
no worries.
at 12:03 is when it should have came through to your email.
Okay, awesome. I'll check again today, and I'll touch base with you maybe tomorrow or later today. If I don't see it by the end of the day, I'll look at my junk mail and all that
It usually
stuff.
comes immediately.
Okay. Yeah, it's odd I didn't see it then. I'll get back to you again. I just want to give it a little time. Even if it comes immediately, I just want to double check my junk mail. I should have seen it, so it's a little suspect that maybe I didn't get it for some reason, but I'll contact you probably today to let you know, or I'll contact Kath.
Okay.
Do you have an email address that I can contact you directly?
Yeah, let me see if I have a card. I don't know if I don't think I've replenished all my cards.
So there, I know you weren't there when I spoke with Laverty, but I don't know when it was he said it, but he did seem to think that you all can enforce traffic law up there. I spoke with Lieutenant Rich. I'm just giving you a little background in case there's something you didn't know. I spoke with Lieutenant Rich, and I thought he might be looking into it as well. Are you still the lead on the investigation though, or is...
It's just a mixture of people.
Okay. You're my main contact. You're one of my main contacts there still, right? Since you give me the link. So also I got feedback from, I don't know if he still is, Auxiliary Officer Bill Murphy. He seems to think that they have an exemption up there as well. I will point out that exemption is only in parking lots as I understand it, not in roadways. And if you look up the definition of what a roadway is defined as in Ohio legally, I believe you're going to find that where we were, where that alleged offense of the school buses happened, is considered a roadway and therefore isn't enforceable by you. It is enforceable by you. And then I have not legal advice, legal analysis I did. So I'm hoping if I emailed that to you, is that something you would take into consideration, either look at or forward?
Of what?
Of what I video recorded and alleging as ORC violations truly are ORC violations.
For reckless operation.
Well, yeah, the reckless operation. Yeah. You also had
so reckless operation
some other
of a
ones.
motor vehicle is. So I printed out for you.
Okay.
So we can read it together. Okay.
Okay.
So operation in willful and wanton disregard of safeties of persons or properties. No person shall operate a vehicle, trackless trolley, or streetcar on any street or highway in willful or wanton disregard of the safety of persons or property. Okay? Operate. Operate in the Ohio Revised Code means to cause or have caused the movement of a vehicle, streetcar, or trackless trolley. Okay, so for reckless operation, this is reckless operation in a public area, and this is reckless operation on private area. Okay.
Okay.
It's basically this, almost the exact same verbiage. No person shall operate a vehicle, trackless trolley, or streetcar on any public or private property other than streets or highways in willful or wanton disregard of safeties or persons. So, for that area, it's a public property, correct?
You said this was for public, this is for private?
This is for like the street, like this street here, Delhi, stuff like that. This is for public or private property. You would consider that where that bus was at was on public property, correct? Where you're legally allowed to be.
Yep, so I gotta look up the definition of street, whether that's a street or not on public property. Do you have the definition of street with you?
I can pull it up real quick.
Okay. So, are we able to talk while you're typing, or you want me?
Sure.
So I'm kind of doing a similar thing as what you've done here to make a determination, and I would want it, that's what I'm wanting to email to you. But I am very interested in hearing what what you're providing today as well, so this is good stuff. The other thing I want to consider is with my analysis, will I'll not only be stating ORC code, but there's some kind of other code that's like school code, not school policy or anything like that. I believe it's law that's defined as something different than ORC, but when I send it to you, you'll be able to recognize and reply back whether it's relevant or not. And because there is some code that's specific to school buses, which may use terms like road instead of street. I'm not really sure if all PDs do this. Spending this kind of time going through definitions, things like that. But Delhi's doing it, and I appreciate it. Because
they have streets defined, but they have public roads and highways, or for vehicles include all public thoroughfares, bridges, and culverts.
so that's public, and it's a place where public traffic is expected to go. And as I understand it, that in essence makes it a roadway that you all can enforce ORC code on.
That would be left up to the prosecutor's office on whether they determine that to be a public roadway or not.
Well,
Looking at the surface of it, I don't deem it to be a public roadway. I deem it to be public property.
what do you mean based on the surface of it? Because it's blacktop? Because isn't it the same material as this stuff?
But no, like what I'm saying is it's not a public thoroughfare.
Well, it is. It's a place where the public thoroughfares through.
I'm great, thank you. Yeah, I don't, but obviously the people that have the ultimate authority on which way that it would be charged would be the prosecutor's office.
Part of the problem with that is, do I have a right to bypass you all and go to the prosecutor's office? Because I thought I read somewhere where if I have video evidence and I sign an affidavit that they would accept and investigate it. They initially told me no, and now I'm waiting for a head investigator to call me back to clarify that on the record. And I thought Rich at one time said I could go to the prosecutor's office, but what the lady told me today is no, we work for the police department, which set me back a little bit. You know where my mindset is, what?
Mm-hmm.
You work for the PD and you don't work for the people? The prosecutor's office. So that struck me as weird. It gives them an immediate bias in the minds of anyone that thinks about justice. These folks that are going in to prosecute these other folks don't serve the public. They're saying they serve the police department. And maybe a slip of the tongue, but sometimes those slip of the tongues are really exposing deeper values that get ingrained into our society through these decision makers. And so that bothers me. So really I have to convince you all to go to the prosecutor's office if what that lady told me is true. And I appreciate you having an open ear. I'll send you my legal analysis that I have, not legal advice or anything like that, but my analysis as a layman that's tapping into as many sources as I can for free other than my time, which is hours, because it's my understanding this is going to be dependent on not only ORC code but other code, and is also, just like we just found, I think it's more about roadways than it is about streets or things like that. And the other things that mitigate that, I think you were the one that said it, more than 15 apartment units or something.
20, I believe it's 20. I'd have to look
Did
it
you
up.
look that up to see if that's,
Well, I can.
you're going to still look that up? Okay.
Well, like I said, I haven't looked up the
Yeah, can you just
uniform.
can you take note of that and just email that to me? Just to point that out, the other mitigating factors is that there's a park right around the corner from there. All those things bring in more foot traffic, more child traffic, more biker traffic, and that's a mitigating factor in the violations that this school bus did, allegedly. Did you hear what I was saying there about the other mitigating factors? Because I think it plays into the law and how things get charged.
Operating the vehicle, that's the biggest hurdle that we can't get over.
They were operating the vehicle. The vehicle, I believe, was running. It had lights on, and they were operating a lift that goes up and down attached to the vehicle.
Means to cause or have caused movement of the vehicle.
Yeah, the bus that went around the other bus that started, the bus that went around the other bus around the double yellow lines, they were operating going around double yellow lines while they were operating driving the vehicle. Wouldn't you agree?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay. So if they weren't if they're going to claim they weren't operating the vehicle, but they clearly were, but if you're going to make that kind of stretch of a defense for these child endangering or allegedly child forget about safety people, then they frickin' parked the bus in the middle of what I would call a roadway. I'm sorry, I'm just talking to myself here, my audience. So I just want to remind myself, once my battery dies, that's the end of the conversation. I'm out of here. I'm not going to do anything off camera.
So for the 20 or more dwelling units, it has to be on a private roadway.
And that's a public roadway. We still don't know whether it's private or public, because some of what I'm struggling with is when something's reported about me, it seems to get investigated and within hours, and y'all are making determinations that it's a crime even when you aren't going to prosecute and it really isn't a crime. Or like if I get pulled over, y'all make a determination whether it's speeding and you're going to give me a ticket, whether it's reckless driving or whatever. When you all got caught, and by you all I say Mr. Meyer, the corporal that was up there today, both got caught, written up because they illegally went over the double yellow, illegally ran through a stop light, and they didn't get ticketed. And that determination took a lot longer. So it seems like when it's a citizen or someone like me, it doesn't take that long. But when it's a police officer or a government buddy, because I think y'all are buddies. Yeah, I do.
What's that?
Can you tell me why this one's taking so long to investigate? Because we're on
I don't know what what part you want me to investigate.
Well, part of it is that I thought you'd already told me that day, 2 days ago, that you were going to look into the apartment thing. And here we are 2 days later. It sounds like you're not only were going to look into it, but like you forgot to look into it. And had I not brought it up, it wouldn't have gotten looked into. And
because the thing that I was told was that you were looking at wanting the bus driver cited for reckless operation of motor vehicle.
one of the bus drivers, and what seems to have happened there is you're thinking it's the front bus that was a yellow bus, and it was a back bus that went around the front bus. My understanding is whether those lights are on or that stop sign's out or not, it's the drivers behind them responsibility to notice the kids are being loaded. Because the kids were being loaded, nobody, even if it's a 2-lane road, even if they could go around that legally and not have to go over the double yellow lines, they still couldn't pass because they're loading kids. And even if the stop sign isn't out, even if the flashing lights aren't going, they still have to stop because they're loading kids. And the fact that it has a lift on it makes it a more serious criminal offense. And some of these things, whether that's private up there or public, which sounds like we still don't know today, was another thing I thought you'd investigated and have a determination on by now. And you know, last time I had Jeff look into something with the prosecutor, it took months. Where the last time he was looking into me on that same thing to try and get me to try and say something's a crime, took hours. And so I don't want to get in a situation where we're a month down the road, even a week down. I really didn't want to be in a 2-day down the road situation, still having my local PD who's supposed to be doing an investigation. And I understand human mistakes, but they start adding up where I still don't have a link. I still don't.
I told you the reasoning for that is because I didn't have the A on there.
And I understood that.
I told you at 12:03 I sent it today.
Yep, so that was 2 days ago. Yesterday I notified Lieutenant Rich. I still don't have the link from you. So y'all could have looked into it yesterday and followed up yesterday, which would have mitigated a little better. Still mitigation. I understand you're human, is an honest mistake. You know, I don't know how often that happens, but that's why we try and document it. So that's not a big deal, but when you start combining it with, now we're 2 days in, you still don't know public property versus private property.
Yeah, I mean,
I still don't have you the link.
It's not a street.
Is it a road?
It's a public drive. Like a driveway.
It's like a driveway that the.
That's kind of what it is.
Isn't it? Is it a
public drive?
Is it a
parking lot?
It's not a parking lot. That's the problem. Is if you're saying they weren't operating that bus, that means that bus parked in the middle of that roadway. And if you're saying that I can take my car up where that bus was and just park my car there and walk away because it's a parking lot, then either I'm going insane or you're going a little insane or corrupt or something, because it's just not adding up for me. And maybe I'm not quite insane. Maybe I'm dramatizing or something, but it's not making logical sense to me. Definitely not a parking lot. It's a place, it's a roadway where...
It's a space that's open to the public.
Is it a space that's used primarily for car traffic?
Foot traffic. You said there's a park right there, and there's a crosswalk right there.
The crosswalks for foot traffic, but the part that isn't crosswalked off, isn't the primary use of that for cars to travel through there?
For a public driveway.
No, not driveway.
Driveway?
Do you call this a roadway or a driveway?
This is a township road.
And is that a driveway?
That's a driveway.
Okay, and is the space we're talking about up there more like this or more like that?
And this is probably wider than that space.
So you think it's more like that, the driveway? Because you think it's a driveway up there? These are the things that either I'm misjudging or these are the things that make police look really bad. This is a really bad thing because, I mean, I can go around, I think I could go around and ask the neighborhood kids. I'll show them a picture of that up there, and then I'll show them this, and I'll ask them, hey, is this a roadway? And you watch what the kids that are innocent say.
Well, this doesn't have a double yellow line, so how is this a roadway?
Because the double yellow line isn't the essence of what makes a roadway.
Well,
that's why. What makes it a roadway, what makes it a roadway, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that its primary use is, one, it's public, and its primary use is vehicle traffic, transportation of vehicle traffic. That's what makes it a roadway. A driveway, what makes it a driveway, generally they're private but not necessarily. What makes it a driveway is it's somewhere people drive to go park.
If they
generally
just walk across the way and they're not in the crosswalk, are they violating the law?
I haven't researched it because it's not really relevant to what we're talking about.
Yeah, we are. If it's a roadway, then they should be using...
I would say it's probably a violation, but I have to look into it. I don't want to argue it with you because, or even discuss it with you, because it's not what we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. It's
we're talking about kid safety.
It's kind of like a double-edged sword, because
no double-edged sword.
It's a public area, but there's also private areas there too.
It's a public, yeah, just like everything else. It's a public area, roadway, with private area, you know, right next to it and stuff. And what makes it a roadway, in my mind, primarily, is that it's used for traffic.
So then
transportation.
So in Delhi Park,
would you agree with what I just said?
Delhi Park.
Would you agree with what I just said?
Is that a public street?
I'm not talking about Delhi Park either, because it's different. Analogies.
Yep. Yes. So that's what I'm trying to use.
I understand.
To get your understanding, or try to get where you're coming from. That what's the difference between Delhi Park, if you're driving through there, than opposed to being up at Delhi Town Square?
I'd have to research and get back to you. It's a valid point and an analogy.
That's what I'm.
But it's not really
it's
not really a relevant point to what we're talking about.
It kind of is.
It's better than the Kroger's example you gave on site that day.
It kind of is.
But the reason is because parks get categorized in a different category than do that property up there. Now, I'm just guessing at this point. They're both some kind of limited. They're different. They're categorized differently. What's that?
You got on me for guessing. Should we guess though?
Well, we're in different roles here. You're a paid professional public law enforcement officer, peace officer. I'm a citizen that's not paid, volunteered, given my time, my money, my heartache, because this stuff, it's heartache to me. I don't enjoy doing some of what I do. It's tough to do, and it changes me too. When I go and I have to come down and give tough love to an officer and yell at him and stuff, I leave there and I start feeling guilty sometimes. And if you don't think that's true, look at the video I posted online where I told Corporal Gerde. I said I was real close to apologizing to you for the last interaction we had, but I wasn't quite there because I feel right in what I did. So there are times when I apologize when I think I'm wrong, but we can't compare roles because we're very different, and that's a mistake that a lot of people make, citizen and the public. Your role in this is very different than my role. And so I'm trying to get information about a safety matter and a legal matter that you're giving me a lot of wish-washy answers on. And if I give you wish-washy answers back, it shouldn't change your duty to provide the professional services you took an oath to provide, and that you have a duty to provide. So even if I was being really bad now and I was saying, oh, you're a horrible police officer, which I didn't do, I almost did the opposite. Said I thought you did pretty good up there.
Have I ever given you any bad?
I think it's bad that we still don't have a clear understanding of.
I can tell you that,
are you saying nothing's going to happen up there?
Bill Murphy has spoken to the bus people and told them to put the little stop arm thing out.
You know why that's a problem? I'm on the assumption now, I'm stating, not allegedly, that even if that isn't breaking law, it's common sense safety procedure, okay? And here's what an unbiased source told me. Here's what AI told me. Whether you're on a public road that's public, or you're on a quasi property type thing like up there, the risk doesn't change. It's a similar, very similar, in some respects, the same risk that needs to be mitigated. Especially in that situation, we have an exceptional blind spot with the turn. You got the traffic from the park, you got the apartment buildings. There's a lot more risk up there than the average risk where you are saying they're required to stop it. So it's just common sense. And the problem is that if you have turnover in the bus driver, who knows, could be 6 months, 2 years, next year, who knows. Then you have somebody doing the same mistake, possibly breaking law, and it opens them up to liability. See, if there was a wreck up there tomorrow because they did the same thing, and they didn't put their stop sign out, and a kid gets hurt and sues, Bill Murphy's still going to have his job. You're still going to have your job. Everybody in government's still going to be pretty